You brought it here. It followed me. One sentence. 7 words. The last weapon of Earth. On a peaceful Earth-Moon base, Commander Lena Ford stood in front of a large window, watching the stars. The war was over, but she felt no joy. Only silence. Behind her, the old scientist entered, holding a file. "We just received a message," he said. "From who?" she asked without turning. "From General Vurok." She turned now. Slowly. What did he say? The scientist read the short note. "I understand now. I saw what you wanted us to see. I wish I had seen it earlier. We were blind. But you're human. Showed us. The truth hurts more than death. Thank you. This is our last transmission. We are going dark. We will not return." Lena said nothing. She looked at the stars again. "They were never afraid of us," she whispered. "They were afraid of feeling what they did to us." The scientist nodded. "And now they have." On a faraway planet covered in golden deserts, a child found something strange in the sand. It was a small device. Old. Damaged, but still glowing faintly. He picked it up, pressed the button. A hologram appeared. A human man. Sitting cross-legged. Calm. His voice soft and steady. "Captain Rain Carter." The boy didn't understand the words. But he listened. He saw the man's eyes. They were full of pain, but also peace. He watched the message again. And again. Then he took the device and walked back to his village. He didn't know it yet. But this story would be told for generations. Back on Earth, in a quiet garden near the sea, an old man walked alone. His hair was gray, his steps slow, but his eyes still sharp. It was Rain. He sat under a tree, watched the waves, closed his eyes. He remembered the war, the faces, the screams, the silence after his sentence. And he remembered the moment the mist whispered back to him. "They finally heard you." That was all he ever wanted. To be heard. Not to be feared. Not to be praised. Just heard. A young girl passed by with a flower. She smiled at him. "Are you the man from the stories?" she asked. Rain looked at her and smiled gently. "No," he said. "I'm just the man who whispered." The sun dipped below the horizon. Birds sang. And for the first time in years, Rain Carter whispered again. Not a weapon, not a warning. Just 3 words. "It is enough." The cold room was silent. Captain Rain Carter sat alone in a clear glass cell, surrounded by strange alien lights and buzzing machines. His hands rested on his knees. His face was calm, eyes half closed, like he was deep in thought, or maybe waiting for something. Around the cell stood 6 tall alien guards, each with gray armor and glowing blue eyes. Their leader, General Vurok, watched the human from behind a screen, his face full of confusion and anger. "Why is he not speaking?" Vurok asked one of his officers. "It has been 5 hours, General," the officer replied. "No words, no questions, no movement. He just sits." Vurok's long fingers tapped the control panel. "This human, he's different." Rain had been captured during the fall of Earth's last defense base. All other soldiers were dead. Only Rain survived. He didn't fight back. He raised his hands, surrendered quietly, and looked straight into the alien eyes without fear. The aliens thought he would beg for his life, or maybe scream, or try to escape. But he did none of those things. He just stared at them, silent. Now locked inside their most secure prison cell aboard the command ship Ulzareth, Rain still had not said a single word. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. The cell was in the middle of a large control deck, so every alien on board could see the human. Some came to look, others stayed far away, uncomfortable. His silence made them nervous. "Try again," Vurok ordered. An alien soldier stepped forward and pressed a button. A translator device hummed. "Human," the alien said. Why are you quiet? Are you afraid? Rain said nothing. Do you understand our language? Still nothing. Vurak frowned. Is he injured? Brain damage? No, General. We scanned him. Physically perfect. No damage. Nothing strange. But his brain, it's very calm. Too calm, Vurak whispered. He moved closer to the glass and looked directly at the human. Rain slowly opened his eyes and looked back at the alien general. His eyes were cold, sharp, and completely fearless. Vurak felt a chill run down his spine. He turned to his second in command. Why is he not afraid? He's alone. Trapped. Earth is destroyed. Yet he looks like he's already won. The officer said nothing. The hours passed. 6 hours, then 7, then 10. Rain didn't move, didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't blink much. Some crew members began whispering rumors. He's a spy. He's a living weapon. No, he's cursed. Anyone who watches him too long hears voices. Fear began to spread. The ship's science officer came forward. General, this silence, it's not normal. No human can stay calm like this after defeat. It's like he planned this. Planned to be captured. Vurak scoffed. Maybe, the officer said. Or maybe he wanted to come aboard. Vurak stared at Rain again. What are you? Inside the cell, Rain blinked slowly. 11 hours passed. The ship grew tense. Even the machines seemed quieter. Vurak sat in the dark, eyes fixed on the human. He felt something building, a pressure in his chest. He didn't believe in ghosts or curses, but this silence, it was not normal. It was too silent. At exactly the 12th hour, Rain slowly stood up. The guards raised their weapons. Vurak jumped to his feet. Rain walked to the glass wall. He leaned close. Then, for the first time, he spoke. His voice was soft, calm, and cold. You brought it here. Now, none of you will return. Vurak froze. The control room went completely silent. The lights flickered. Some crew members gasped. One screamed. Others backed away from the cell. Vurak's heart pounded in his chest. His skin turned pale. Rain stepped back and sat down again, as calm as before. He closed his eyes and smiled. 12 hours before the silence, Earth was dying. The alien fleet had broken through the final defense ring. Cities were burning. Satellites were falling from the sky. The last human command base, located deep under Mount Valastra, was shaking from enemy fire. Inside the control room, alarms were screaming. Soldiers moved quickly, shouting orders, checking screens, calling for backup that would never come. Captain Rain Carter stood in the middle of the chaos. Calm, focused. His black combat armor was scratched and burned. His face was tired, but not afraid. A young soldier ran up to him. Captain, they've breached level 3. We can't hold them back. Rain nodded slowly. Evacuate everyone from level 2. Send them to the tunnels. But what? Vurak snapped. His brainwaves are unusual. How? They are too steady. No spikes. No fear. No stress. It's like he is in total control. Vurak narrowed his eyes. You think he's been trained to block us? Ulik shook his head. No, this isn't training. This is something else. Like he wants us to look deeper. Like he's hiding something in plain sight. Vurak stared at the screen. The human hadn't moved for hours, but somehow his stillness was louder than screams. What do we know about him? Vurak asked. Sorith opened a file. Name, Captain Rain Carter, Earth Defense Command. Highly decorated. Expert in infiltration and mind resistance training. Last seen during the fall of Earth's final base. Anything else? Sorith hesitated. He volunteered to be captured. Vurak's eyes widened. He wanted to be taken. Yes, he told his commander not to rescue him. That's in the report. The room went silent. Ulick spoke again. There's something else. I cross-checked his brain pattern with our database. It matches a strange pattern we saw once, during the failed mission on Mars. Vurak stiffened. That mission. The one where our soldiers went mad. Ulick nodded. They said they saw things that weren't there. Heard Earth music. Saw memories that didn't belong to them. That mission was wiped from records, Vurak said. It was classified as a psychic trap. And the only survivor described a human just like him. Now, even the lights in the room seemed dimmer. A voice came from the back of the room. One of the younger alien guards, nervous, afraid. General, some of the crew, they're seeing things too. Dreams of fire, of Earth, of screaming humans. Vurak turned sharply. Dreams. The guard nodded. Yes, sir. I saw my home planet burning, and I heard the human laughing. But he didn't move. He just stared at me. Vurak's heart pounded. This wasn't normal. This wasn't a soldier. This was something else. He looked at the glass cell. Rain was now sitting cross-legged. His eyes were open, and he was staring directly at the camera, as if he could hear every word spoken. Seal the deck, Vurak ordered. No one enters or leaves. Ulick swallowed. Sir, I think we already opened the door. Not physically, but mentally. Vurak stared at the screen. Rain blinked. For a second, just a second, Vurak saw something behind those human eyes. Something ancient. Something endless. And in that moment, for the first time in his long military career, General Vurak felt fear. The 12th hour struck. A soft chime echoed across the alien warship Olzarath as the ship's internal clock hit 0. For the alien crew, it was just another time marker. But for one man, one silent human inside a glass cell, it was the moment he had waited for. Captain Rain Carter opened his eyes. He stood up slowly, like someone waking from a deep sleep. Every alien in the control room froze. Eyes turned toward the human. Hearts beat faster. No one spoke. He walked to the edge of the cell, calm and steady. His eyes were cold, unblinking. General Vurak, standing behind the security glass, met his gaze. Speak, Vurak said. Say something. Anything. What do you want? Rain tilted his head slightly. Then he whispered one sentence. Just 7 words. You brought it here. It followed me. A second of silence. Then the room exploded in panic. What did he say? Soreth shouted, stepping back from the screen. Vurak felt the blood drain from his face. What followed him? The air changed. A low hum began in the walls of the ship. The lights dimmed and flickered. A soft vibration moved through the floor like a heartbeat. It was not from the engines, not from the weapons. This was something else. Rain sat down again. He said nothing more. His eyes closed. He smiled. Soreth ran to the sensor station. Sir, we're picking up a spike in energy near the cell. What kind of energy? I don't know. Soreth stammered. It's not in our system. It's not in any known database. It's alive. Ulick, the science officer, stepped back from his console. His skin was pale. Sir, I think the sentence was the trigger. What trigger? Vurak shouted. The memory virus, Ulick said. It wasn't just a code. It was a psychic weapon, hidden in his mind, waiting to be unlocked by speech. You mean? Vurak whispered. Yes, Ulick replied. That sentence was the key. The lights went completely dark. Only the red emergency glow remained. A strange sound filled the ship, not mechanical, not natural. It was whispering, and that was worse. Much worse. 10 minutes later, the human vanished. No door opened, no ship approached, no signal was sent. He was simply gone. And in his place, the mist remained, humming softly, like a lullaby. The warship Ulzareth floated in silence, lights dim, systems dead. In deep space, the alien fleet was breaking apart. Some ships turned back. Some exploded. Some simply stopped responding. The fear had done what no army could. It had broken the will to fight. Far away, on a hidden human outpost, a transmission appeared. Simple, silent. One screen, one message. Target delivered. Memory unlocked. Humanity is safe. For now. Far beyond the broken alien fleet, in a quiet part of space, a hidden station floated between two dying stars. It was not large, not powerful, but it was important. Inside, humans watched dozens of flickering screens. Each one showed footage from the Ulzareth, the alien flagship that had now gone silent. They saw fear in the aliens' eyes. They saw confusion. They saw something that had never happened before. An enemy empire, surrendering without a single battle. Commander Lena Ford, head of the Earth Resistance Intelligence Division, stood in front of the largest screen. Her arms were crossed. Her eyes locked on one image. Captain Rain Carter. He did it, she whispered. One man, one sentence. Beside her, an old scientist nodded. The memory weapon worked, but it was Rain who carried it. He made them feel what they made us feel. Lena didn't smile. "Do you think it's over?" she asked. The scientist shook his head. "No, it's never truly over. They might come back. But next time, they'll remember. And that's our real defense." On the screen, the alien ship still floated in space like a dead whale. Lifeless, quiet, haunted. But something strange had begun. Some alien ships were not fleeing. Some were landing on abandoned Earth colonies, not with weapons, but with supplies. Medical aid, communication signals in peaceful tones. The same species that once destroyed cities now tried to rebuild them. "They're changing," the scientist said softly. "Not all, but some." Lena nodded. Because they saw, because they felt. Somewhere on a quiet planet, filled with green fields and blue skies, a man walked alone. It was Captain Rain Carter. Alive, free, silent as always. He moved slowly, hands in pockets, eyes scanning the horizon. Children played in the distance. They laughed. They ran. They didn't know what he had done. They didn't need to. He passed a group of farmers. They waved. He nodded back. He found a hill, sat on a rock, and looked up at the stars. He knew they were watching him, the aliens, the humans, maybe even something older than both. But for now, there was peace. Back aboard the Ulzareth, General Virak sat alone in the command room. Most of the crew had fled. Some had gone mad. Some had taken their own lives. Others simply wandered off. He stayed. The black mist was gone now, but its effect remained, carved into his soul. He could still hear the sentence. "You brought it here. It followed me." What had followed Rain? Was it a weapon? A spirit? Something human minds had built from pain? He didn't know, but he believed now. He believed in fear, in guilt, in memory, and maybe in change. He opened a channel, one the humans could hear. "This is General Virak," he said quietly. "I surrender. I wish to talk. No more death. No more lies. We want to understand." He waited, and far across space, someone listened. In the deep corners of space, rumors began to spread. Of a human who said one sentence and stopped a war. Of an ancient weapon made from memory and grief. Of a fleet that once ruled the stars, now silent in shame. The universe had changed. Not because of ships, not because of guns. Because of truth. And truth echoed. The stars had changed. In the months after the fall of the alien fleet, the galaxy slowly turned quiet. Where once there were battles, now there was silence. Where once there were orders to destroy, now there were questions. Across hundreds of systems, aliens met in secret, not to plan war, to remember. The black mist was gone, but the fear, the truth it showed, remained in their minds like a scar that would never fade. Some called it a curse. Others called it a second chance. And at the center of it all was the man who never raised a weapon. Captain Rain Carter. He had vanished again. No one knew where. No ship had picked him up. No human base had received him. Yet every enemy leader, every alien soldier, every planet touched by war, remembered his voice. "What about you, sir?" "I'm staying." The soldier stared at him. "Sir, you can't. If you stay, they'll capture you." "I know," Rain said. "That's the plan." The soldier didn't understand. Rain turned to the base commander, an older man with gray hair and a deep scar over one eye. "Sir," Rain said, "we're out of time. You need to activate Protocol Zero." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Are you sure? There's no coming back from that." Rain nodded. "If they take me alive, they'll scan my mind. We want them to. It's the only way." The commander sighed. "You know, Carter, you're probably the last hope we have." Rain gave a small smile. "Then let's give them a reason to be afraid." The commander opened a locked case. Inside was a black memory chip, small, harmless looking. "This contains the memory package," the commander said. "It's not a weapon, but once it's inside their network, it will spread." Rain took the chip and placed it behind his ear. It clicked softly. "What happens if they scan me too deep?" he asked. "Then the virus activates. Simple as that." "And if I speak the trigger phrase?" The commander nodded. "Then it begins immediately." Rain paused. "Has it ever been tested?" "No. But the science team said, it's not about destroying them. It's about showing them something they can't unsee. A truth they'll never forget." Rain clenched his fist. "Good." Suddenly, a loud blast shook the base. Lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. "They're here," someone shouted. The walls groaned as alien ships landed above. Rain looked at the commander one last time. "Don't try to rescue me," he said. "Just wait. They'll send a message soon." Then he walked toward the blast doors. Minutes later, the aliens stormed into the base, tall, armored, and fast. Their weapons fired blue plasma, cutting through walls and steel like paper. Rain stood in the hallway alone, his hands raised. The aliens stopped. Their leader, a large commander with a black mask, stepped forward. "You surrender," the alien hissed. "Yes," Rain said simply. "No traps." "No." The alien studied him for a long moment, then gave the signal. Two soldiers moved forward and locked metal cuffs around Rain's wrists. They scanned his body. Nothing dangerous. No explosives. No weapons. But they didn't detect the memory chip. It was hidden in a part of his mind their scanners didn't reach yet. "Why did you not run?" the alien asked. Rain looked him in the eyes. "I was waiting for you." The alien flinched. Then, without another word, they took him. Hours later, aboard the command ship Ulzareth, Rain sat in silence inside the glass cell. The aliens didn't know what they had taken. Not just a human. Not just a soldier. They had taken a memory, a message, a fear. And Rain was waiting for the perfect moment to whisper the words that would begin their nightmare. Inside the alien warship Ulzareth, fear began to spread like smoke. Captain Rain Carter still sat inside the glass cell, silent, still, unshaken. It had been 11 hours and 45 minutes since his capture. He had not moved. He had not spoken. He had not blinked much. He just waited, like a statue. On the main deck, alien officers stood around glowing screens. General Virak paced back and forth, his long black cloak dragging behind him. His golden armor shimmered in the low blue light. His eyes were sharp, but tired. Still nothing. he asked. Nothing, replied his second-in-command, Soreth. He refuses to speak. Or maybe he doesn't need to. Vurak looked at the human on the screen. He knows something. I can feel it. Soreth hesitated, then spoke softly. Sir, the crew is talking. About what? They say the human is not a prisoner. They say he let us take him. Vurak growled. Nonsense. They say he's here for a reason. Vurak slammed his fist on the console. Enough. He's one man, one mind, one body. We've destroyed planets, burned cities. Why should we fear him? Soreth didn't answer, but his silence spoke loudly. The science officer, Ulik, entered the room. His hands trembled as he held a tablet. I ran a full scan on the human again, he said. His body is clean. No weapons, no tech, but thousands of voices layered on top of each other, crying, laughing, screaming, begging. Every alien in the control room covered their ears. It's in my head, one shouted. I see Earth. I see fire. I see my own death. Another screamed. Vurak tried to give orders, but his voice didn't work. The whispering grew louder. The walls began to bend, as if the ship itself was breathing. One by one, screens shut down. Systems failed. Lights exploded. Even weapons lost power. Shut down the cell. Soreth yelled. No, Ulik screamed. If we break the cell, we break the seal. It's not just him anymore. He's just the door. Vurak stared at Rain, still sitting calmly. You planned this, Vurak whispered. You let us take you, to bring it inside. Rain opened his eyes again. They called it hope, he said softly. But to you, it's fear. Then came the final signal. The whispering stopped. For 5 seconds, there was total silence. Then the ship began to shake. From deep inside the engine core, a black mist started to rise. It flowed like smoke, but moved like a living creature. It reached the glass cell and passed right through it. Rain didn't move. The black mist spread across the ship, touching lights, touching walls, touching minds. Wherever it went, aliens screamed. They saw visions, memories not their own. They saw the destruction they had caused. The faces of children, the last words of dying soldiers, and behind it all, the truth of what they had become. A species without mercy, without balance, without soul. And now, it was their turn to feel fear. General Vurak fell to his knees. Tears streamed from his glowing eyes. Make it stop, he begged. Please. Rain looked at him, emotionless. You should not have come to Earth. The alien warship Ulzarath was dying. Not from fire, not from bombs, but from something far worse, something inside their minds. The black mist had reached every part of the ship. It was not gas. It was not energy. It was memory. A living, thinking storm of all the pain, loss, and horror the aliens had caused in their war across the stars. And now, it was showing them everything. Alien crew members screamed as they ran down the halls. Some clawed at their heads. Some sat curled in corners, sobbing like children. I see them, whispered a soldier. The humans we burned alive. I see their eyes. They're watching me. Another one collapsed, shaking. I hear music, Earth music, and it's inside my skin. The control room was chaos. Systems were failing. Doors opened and closed randomly. Weapons shut down. Shields flickered and died. General Vurak was still on his knees, staring at the screen showing the human. Captain Rain Carter, still sitting calmly inside the glass cell. Vurak's voice was low, shaking. What are you? Rain slowly stood up. I'm the end of your story, he said. Soreth grabbed his commander. Sir, we need to leave. The virus. It's spreading beyond the ship. It's jumping through our network. Other ships, they're reporting the same whispering. The same fear. Ulick shouted from the console. Too late. The fleet is collapsing. 3 ships have already turned back. Some are destroying their own systems to stop the signal. Vurak's hands trembled. You did this with just 1 sentence. Rain nodded. We tried peace, he said quietly. You gave us war. He walked toward the glass. And now, we give you a gift. Not death. That would be too easy. We give you memory. We give you truth. Behind him, the black mist moved like a shadow, following him like a silent guardian. Vurak stood up slowly, shaking with rage and fear. You think this ends us? He shouted. We will rebuild. We will return. Rain looked him in the eyes. His voice was calm. No, you won't. At that moment, the glass wall disappeared. Not shattered. Not opened. Just gone. The black mist poured out into the control room. Vurak screamed and fired his weapon. The blue plasma passed through Rain like light through fog. Rain kept walking. The mist touched Vurak's arm. And suddenly, he stopped. He saw a vision, clearer than any dream. He saw himself as a child on his homeworld. He saw the face of his mother, her smile, her warmth, a time before the war, before hate. Then he saw what he had become. He dropped his weapon. The other aliens froze. Rain turned to them. It's not the weapon you should fear, he said. It's what it shows you. It's what you already carry inside. The black mist spread across the control room. But it didn't destroy the aliens. It showed them.